Okay, Varinder, thanks so much for all those details. Varun Goel, also from Motilal Oswal, also joins us on the show now. Hi, Varun. Afternoon. The correction was more like a blip. We saw about a 300-point correction from the top, but it was recovered in less than about 3 days. And we're now almost back to approaching that 8,800 mark, though we have seen some pickup in the choppiness in the last few minutes. What are you doing at Motilal Oswal? Which are the stocks which are looking interesting to you, where you have been accumulating in this recent uptrend?
Well, good afternoon. So we continue to have a positive bias towards the markets. We believe that if you want to construct a longer-term portfolio with a 3 to 5 year perspective, there is a lot of good quality names and high growth names which are available. We definitely like housing finance as a theme. We believe the sector itself is going to grow at 20% plus. In that, of course, there are several well-run companies which have good asset quality, continue to do well. We like consumer durable companies. We believe that the 7th pay commission money has now started to come in people's bank account, and that should start reflecting in a good festival season in the next few months. We also like auto and auto ancillary companies. We believe again that will be a beneficiary of the increased discretionary spend, and auto ancillaries in particular will do quite well. We also continue to be positive on agrochemical as a space, because we believe this year's rainfall has been quite good in the beginning of the season, and that would definitely help the sales and the bottom line of most of the companies in this space. So these are the few interesting stories that we like at this point of time.
Okay, so those are some themes. There are many stocks that have hit new highs today. So advanced enzymes is one of them. That stock should come up for you. We spoke to the management earlier in the day, and they were very optimistic. Mr. Tulsian, I remember you were most positive on this stock during listing day, and from the listing price of 1,200, it's now up 30%. At 1,600, does it still offer value?
Sonia, in fact, I have taken a positive view on 3 IPOs. I distinctly remember Ujjivan Finance, Advanced Enzyme and RBL, where the few views were not very positive seen from many of the analysts, and post-listing also I've called all 3 as a screaming buy. And I continue to have my same view, because if you see the advanced enzyme, the best part is the enzyme which they are making, 70% is catered to the nutraceutical sector, and that has a very good potential with pricing power, because if you see the other global giant, they are more into the industrial enzyme. And today I have heard the management saying that how the things are getting or likely to get replaced, where the chemicals are likely to get replaced by the enzymes in the nutraceutical sector, and that is going to be a very big obviously it all depends on the breakthrough which the companies will achieve, and it is not so easy that those breakthroughs can get achieved just in couple of months or maybe in couple of quarters. But if you see the working of the company or the pipeline which they have, it's very robust. And as I said, 70% of the top line coming in from the nutraceutical sector is, and actually that is a call of the global, that's a global phenomenon, that people wants to replace the enzyme in the nutraceutical sector with the enzymes instead of chemicals. So I'm keeping my positive stance on the company with a medium term to long term. Those who are getting this kind of gain of 30%, which is not small in just couple of months, they can go for profit booking. But if you can keep a longer horizon of 1 to 2 years, this is an excellent stock to have in the portfolio.
Okay, an excellent stock to hold in your portfolio. That's the word on advanced enzyme. But let's move on and get you some market opinion. Earlier today, Lata Venkatesh caught up with Louis Organis, Sunil Garg, and the global head of emerging market research, JP Morgan, on the sidelines of their conference to find out that as the global jitters like events of Brexit, Fed hike continue along with interest rates and the weak economic data, is some kind of a meltdown expected? Here's a slice of that discussion.
I think that the healing process in EM fundamentals, meaning the recovery of growth.
For example, we're not even looking at any hikes.
Okay, that's the word coming in from JP Morgan, but that's an important clarification coming in from Walkhart. They say they have no additional information with respect to the Chikalthana plant at this point in time. And there's some more comments, but I just can't seem to open the press release, so I'll wait for more lines on that. But remember, they've not denied the fact that the US FDA has given a clearance. All they're saying is that they have the company has no additional information with respect to the Chikalthana plant. This could go either way. I mean, our sister channel believes that the US FDA has given a clearance to the Chikalthana plant, but the management says that no, they don't have any additional information. Their stock is still holding up quite well. Interesting. Let's see how these events turn out.
But even Anil Singhvi, the one who had got us these exclusive details, he had told us that the official announcement will take a couple of weeks, or at least a couple of days, if not weeks, for it to come through. This is what I guess he's picking up just from his sources. So the company, as of now, it's
and his sources are not the company sources. He did mention to us that his sources are from the US FDA. So it's not from, he hasn't touched base with the company, and company coming out and saying that they have no additional information either. Well, we'll find out more. We won't have to, I guess, wait too long. We'll come to know in a few days. But let's just count down to the end of trade, because we have about 5 minutes to go before the day and the week comes to an end. It's been a very volatile day. The Nifty saw a 100-point intraday swing. So that's quite a bit. We haven't seen that in a while. But the Nifty did recover from the lows to close above the 8750 odd level. Varun, the stock of the week undoubtedly was Yes Bank on the downside. It's now down 20% from its its highs of around 1400 post the QIP fiasco. At any point would you look to buy into Yes Bank?
Well, I think the BFSI space is poised very interestingly. I think the credit cycle is about to begin. I think after 7 quarters, we saw almost double-digit nominal GDP growth. So our sense is that the credit growth will inch up. We'll probably looking at 15% plus kind of a number for the year as a whole. So definitely it is going to benefit financial companies and banks. Our preference, of course, remains towards private banks, which are more geared towards retail lending, or banks or NBFCs, which are more geared towards the home finance space. So we would prefer companies which have good asset quality, which are growing their loan books by 15 to 20%, essentially geared towards the retail side of the book.
Anand, private financial seems to be getting a crowded long trade. Do you have any particular banks or private stocks in the financial space where you could see some value at current levels, because most of them prima facie appear to be quite expensive?
Well, that is right. I think the most expensive sector right now is the microfinance sector, followed by the consumer lending, and then perhaps some of the specialized NBFCs. Overall, I think if you are looking for value, you have to look at an SBI. Not that it will suddenly turn around and start doing very well, but it is certainly going to weather this storm as well, and will come out and start growing again whenever the credit cycle were to turn. Obviously, the one issue that will remain is that if the corporate debt market actually takes off, as RBI is trying to do, that will put some pressure on corporate lending. To me, the consumer space right now is again looking like an overcrowded trade, as well as the fact that I think the risks are being grossly underpaid. To me, for example, microfinance today looks worse than it was when the first crisis hit it, because I think you'll have a regulatory issue again there, that today you don't have to be, if you're a bank and lending to microfinance, which many of them are, you are not counted in the limit of the 2 lenders that are allowed to lend for every family. Consequently, people are again over borrowing. So there is a bubble building up in the consumer space in terms of lending, especially in the unsecured part of it. So to answer your question again, look at the public sector banks. That's probably the only place where you can make some money in terms of safety.
Okay, we have less than a minute before the day comes to an end. So let's quickly get some final calls in. And first, let's tell you how the market shaped up, and then we'll go to our technical guest. As I said, it was a very volatile day. The Nifty saw a 100-point intraday swing today. What the Nifty did manage to do, though, was recover from the lows to close above the 8750 odd mark. So the buy on dip strategy still holds in this market, and a lot of non-index large caps did see some buying interest today. For the week as a whole, the Nifty goes down about 1%, the mid-cap index down about 1.5%. So the market is in general volatile ahead of the FOMC policy next week. In terms of individual stocks, auto stocks were very strong today. Maruti hit a fresh record high. Two-wheeler stocks surged in late trade. So you have Eicher Motors, TVS that were up about 3 to 4 odd percent. And if you're looking at gainers, cement has once again found some favor. So Grasim, Ambuja Cement were all higher in trade today. On the downside, the stock of the week undoubtedly has been Yes Bank, down 20% from its highs. Tata Steel is down about 10% this week post its earnings and the fall in global commodity prices. And Hindalco is not too far behind, so down almost about 2-3%. Some heavyweights like HDFC also put a bit of pressure on the market. But all in all, you'd have to say very, very choppy times for our market. A lot of toing and froing ahead of the big events next week.
Yes, indeed. Bank of Japan as well as the Fed monetary policy outcome will be known on Friday post-market. For Fed, it will be post-market hours, but Bank of Japan, we should know during market hours. By the way, the mid-cap index underperformed quite a bit. From the day's high, the Nifty ended down about 0.7%. It slipped 0.7% from the day's high. But for the mid-cap index, it was a 1.5% slip from the day's high. And the advanced decline ratio also turned in favor of the stocks in the red. A couple of key gainers include Walkhard. Again, the hopes are that the Chikaltana facility has got the green signal from the US FDA. UB Group stocks, whether it's United Brewery Holding or McDowell Holding, moved up on very large volumes. There was a large deal which took place in United Breweries of 18.5 lakh shares. UB Holding slipped, but the other group companies were quite active. Sugar had a good day, another sweet day. So Triveni, just to name a few, Triveni was up and about in trade, along with that Renuka too. So a gain of 2.5%. Some regulatory positive news coming in on Deepak Fertilizer. Sonia was talking about the two-wheeler space and the large cap space. TVS Motors moved up in the non-index variety. IDFC Bank has been quietly and stealthily moving up in the private financials. That stock has seen a 50% up move just in the last 3 months. It was at levels of 44, 45, and now it's at that 66 mark. On the losing side, weakness was seen in Sun TV, one of the big movers of yesterday. So profit booking, Reliance Communication, despite that Aircel deal going through, Arcom continues to languish. 3% gone on that name. Gitanjali Gems saw about a 10% crack. A couple of high beta names like Punjloy GMR Infrastructure saw a bit of a correction, while UCO Bank has slipped below its 200-day moving average as well as its 100-day moving average as it corrected close to about 1.8%. By the end of trade, the mid-cap index was absolutely flat. The benchmark indices managed to edge a bit of a gain, so closing with gains of about 0.5%, and the Bank Nifty too saw a slip from the day's high. Mr. Tulsian, did you see the news flow on Deepak Fertilizer and the gas issue over there? What's your sense on Deepak Fertilizer now?
Rima, positive news, but I won't be taking it too positive. It's a mild positive because Deepak Fertilizer is into the chemical space. They are, though it is called as a fertilizer company, but they are making very low least of fertilizer, but more of chemical, which are having a very high realization, and gas being their raw material, that will be seen positive. So let's wait for the management commentary. But I will be taking as of now this as a mild positive move for the company.
Okay, well, just some final calls then. Anand, what is the orientation ahead of the FOMC policy next week? I mean, in hindsight, always these global events, if you run into them with long positions, you benefit because they come out in your favor, in the bull's favor, that is. This time around, do you think things could be different?
It's unlikely. I think in an election year, changes in interest rate, especially on the upside, are very rare and it's not likely to be repeated this time. They may be, the commentary may be a little more indicative of a possible increase in interest rate, but I don't think there'll be any change actually.
Mitesh, any stocks which you'd like to, tell our viewers to keep on their radar for next week's trade?
I think, a couple of real estate names, they had some kind of a big breakdown, and I think HTL1, looks like finally it's breaking that 90 level conclusively. It's been hanging on to that level for the entire last 2-3 weeks. And if that breakdown has happened, I think the stock can head towards possibly 82 to about 79. So that's one of the stocks which I have on my radar. The other one is Vedanta. I think it's negated the breakout above 172. So I think a retest of 154, 155 should happen. But in case it starts breaking below that next week, I think then we are in for some more bigger correction over there.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks for joining us. And you guys have a great weekend. We'll touch base with you again next week. Well, that's a wrap on our segment on Closing Bell to do with the markets. But we also have a Closing Bell money control question of the day. And that is to do with the Commerce Ministry comments where they favor a rupee devaluation.